This is the Note Closer Show, where you get the latest developments in distressed note investing and learn the secrets of how you can control millions of dollars worth of property for pennies on the dollar. Get educated and entertained by someone who has closed thousands of deals and lives to support you in achieving the same. Now, here's your host, CEO of We Close Notes, Scott Carson.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here with you today. And you guys know I get excited about marketing. I love marketing. I think it is the lifeblood of any business out there. And with everything going on these days, a lot of people are kind of pulling back from their marketing. I'm like, whoa, you need to be marketing more. You need to be doubling down more. And that's what's helped make us successful through the good and the bad times in the real estate market over the last 20 years. And so I'm honored. Today's guest is a freaking rock star who's not only doing amazing things for her business, but also doing it for other real estate investors out there. She is joining us a little bit north of the border today, but I've known her for a couple of years now. We go back, we've been online back and forth and followed each other, but I became friends at PodFest a couple of years back, and it's like, oh, hey, it's just like family now. So she is the founder and owner of Smooth Sailing Business Growth and Real Estate Investors Marketing, is the go-to content marketing expert who helps clients attract and convert customers faster. And I'm so honored to have the one, the only Lyndsay Phillips joining us today out there. What's going on, Lyndsay?
Hello, and you are crushing it on marketing, man. You are everywhere, webinars, podcasts, you got it going on. And yeah, I was so thankful to finally meet you at PodFest. It was so much fun.
Yeah, and it's funny is we've got, I mean, it's a smaller world. We've got a lot of mutual friends and stuff like that. And like, oh, you got to meet Lyndsay. Yes, you got to meet Lyndsay. Yes. And that's for it's like, walk like, hey, old friend, how's it going? We finally know each other, right?
I know. I keep seeing you and hearing you in different places and mutual circles. It's funny.
Yeah. So let's talk about you, though. You've been doing this for how long now, Lyndsay?
I suck at thinking about time frames. I would say about 10 years in the content marketing world. And I started off as a VA and grew the VA firm. And then I niched down to content marketing. And then things just blew up and grew my team from just me to 5 and 10. And I think I'm at 13 now. And then I just seem to attract real estate investors and have been working with quite a few in the past couple of years, and then niche down again and just kind of opened up another pocket of the business, if you will, focusing in on helping real estate investors market their business. I love it.
Yeah, I know you're great at it and love it. It's a beautiful niche to be down into, but we were talking before we got started here how I like to bang my head against the wall here when I'm talking with students and we're talking about marketing, and I can't think of anything to talk about. I can't think of anything to market. Do you hear that a lot from a lot of your clients initially, or you hear that in the industry as well?
And I think there's a lot of misconceptions too, right? And I think people, their knee-jerk reaction is to it always be very industry specific, very professional and businessy, and a lot of promo. Some industries are more heavy with that than others. It's always pushing their services. And honestly, that backfires. That actually turns people away. And then the other issue is that if they are feeling stuck or they are on that one-track mind, is that they end up not putting anything out or they're inconsistent. Like, I always say this analogy, like I'm looking for a yoga instructor, an accountant, whatever that may be. I always go to their website and I always go to their Facebook page. And if there's a disconnect between the website and the Facebook page, and I'm like, who are they? What do they do? And then if there's like no content, or there's like one today and like 2 weeks ago there was something else, I'm like, are they even like for real? Are they in business? Are they going to help me if something goes wrong? It just, those first impressions and that perception is just so huge.
Yeah, that's the big thing. I was looking at somebody the other day and their website, they didn't post anything this year. And I was like, it's almost June and you haven't posted anything this year. And there was things outdated. And don't get me wrong, we all have websites. There are things that get outdated we'll miss on a consistent basis. But if somebody sees that you've got other things that are posting, yeah, that's not a big deal. But when you're not posting and the stuff that you have is outdated, it's like the kiss. Are you even in business anymore for the most part? But let's dive into a little bit of that aspect of things. So let's do away maybe with that misconception that people always have to be business. Because you said something really valuable. Hey, you go to the business page and you check them out on Facebook. You know, does it need to be the exact same thing? Does it all need to be business? Can it be a little bit of, hey, this is just who Lyndsay or Scott or Johnny is, and share kind of the person behind the business, or not?
Absolutely. I mean, there's like bigger companies like, Paper Source, right? They're a bigger company. They're not necessarily a person. Where you're, the note closer, but you're Scott Carson. Like, they know you as you. And same with like investors, like they know the person, right? So you might have a business name, but really they're coming to you, not like the business name. So that's really what you want to focus on. And same with like, you just got to strip down to the basics, right? And it's like, people connect with people. And especially when you're dealing with exchange of money, especially with real estate and investing, like there's money involved, right? And legalities and stuff. And so those relationships and that element of trust is absolutely paramount. It's like, think of like building your authority so that they look at you as an expert, and also building those relationships and fostering that trust. So you personally have to be front and center. And I know it's scary. I know when I first started my podcast, like peeing my pants, but you have to kind of get over that and be the face of the business.
What are some things that you kind of sit down when you're sitting down with clients? Is there kind of an outline or a brainstorming thing that you like to sit down with clients to kind of pull out content or ideas for content for investors?
Absolutely. I know when I do my 2-hour strategy sessions, the first thing that we kind of go through is thinking about who's your avatar. Now, some people will be like, what the heck is an avatar? And that's okay.
The blue,
it's basically
8 person.
I know. Yeah, exactly. I'm not selling aliens. But you have to think about like your ideal quote unquote client, or whether you think of it as a contact, an investor, a buyer, a seller, whatever term you're using. You have to think about like your top 3 people that you're doing business with that are like the perfect client, right? And think about them. Always picture them. Think about what makes them tick. Are they 40-year-old males? Are they 20-year-old, internet yuppies? Are they, do they have boats? Are they well off? Do they have families? Do they hang out on Instagram, or are they more like LinkedIn type, corporate people? You really have to get into their mindset and think about how they live, what they're doing on a daily basis. So what they're struggling with, kind of like, if you're a wholesaler and you're looking for sellers, and let's say you want to target, people that are retiring and letting their homes go or whatever, then that is your target market. You're going to make content and posts, and you're going to talk in a way that's going to relate to them and not a 30-year-old female with a young child. So you really have to like do the exercise. I know it's painful, but write it all out, like everything, and really think and map out who your ideal client is, because that will drive what content you do, where you're going to disseminate it, your topics, and it's also going to help you attract your ideal client faster.
I love it. Yeah. The more you can identify specific traits of who your avatar, your listener, your ideal client, the better off you're going to be to do. It's a beautiful thing when you can identify with your listeners down to the specific details. And a lot of people just think, I don't know. we talked earlier beforehand how you were working with a client yesterday who's a pilot and it closed on a deal. What are some of the things with some of the clients that you're working with right now? What are some of the, I would say maybe the bread and butter marketing techniques, and the marketing tools or the content tools to create? What would you recommend, Lyndsay, to those out there listening today?
Yeah, and I find, I don't know if you find this, Scott, but a lot of people in real estate investing, they already have a job, or they have a corporate job, or like in this case, the guy is a pilot, and he's doing real estate investing on the side to build more passive income, which is amazing. And I'm sure the goal is to let the other job go, right? Or whatever. But he really felt
or get laid
like
off with the market being like it is.
What's that?
As I say, sorry to say, he's getting laid off with like so many millions of pilots across the country right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Having a plan B, that's huge. And kudos to those that are doing it. But he really felt like, okay, he wanted to market his real estate investing and have people invest with him, blah, blah, blah. But he felt he had to keep the piloting stuff kind of like secret and off to the side. And I was like, oh man, no, like that makes you cool. Like that is like an it factor, right? And plus the people that he's attracting are exactly like him. They're like engineers, they're pilots, they've got like high-end jobs, right? And they want to create a legacy for their family and invest in what have you. So I'm like, no way. Like, you know, if I don't know if you can do it, but while you're in the airport and you've got your fancy pilot outfit on, you know, do a quick video just to touch base with people and talk about, you know, a deal that you've got going on, or an email that you've got, or a win, or whatever it may be. Like, share your daily life, share who you are. And I told him, you know, on the website that you're building, tell your story, tell your journey. Like, you know, you've had your pilot's license for forever and blah, blah, blah. And then you know, dabbled in real estate investing and found out, you know, ups and downs and mistakes. And it's okay to admit your mistakes because you learned them, right? And this way people relate to you. They're like, oh, like he made mistakes too, but he fixed it and now he's got it dialed in. And, you know, I've got a job going and, you know, I can learn from him and he can help me invest. So you really need to create and craft that story, share your journey, and don't be afraid to be yourself and share that, because you're actually going to build stronger relationships and attract your avatar faster. And as we were talking to earlier, it is so much easier to create content when you can be yourself. Don't you find?
Yeah, there's only one of us out there, so be yourself. That's what attracts people to you. It's like what you said beforehand. You know, people have a business, but they get attracted to the individual. You know,
yes.
And this is the thing I see with realtors and mortgage brokers. They like to market the company, like, oh, the logo is going to be there. Market yourself, put yourself out there, because that's what people identify with. Put your face on a damn business card so people can identify if they meet with you.
I know.
That's so how often do you think people should be marketing out there? And that's a big thing. We were talking about, hey, some websites not, you know, sharing things on a regular basis. How often is too much, and maybe how often is too little?
It kind of like, it does depend, but you just the key is you have to be consistent. I mean, we all have our own personal limitations. We all have families. We all have other jobs, businesses, whatever. You know, I don't want you to like, you know, be stressed out and have an anxiety attack. But also bear in mind that there's other people, you know, content marketing firms like myself that can help you and support you in those endeavors. But as long as you're consistent, I mean, at least a post a day. I mean, you know what I mean? And then like a blog or a video or a podcast once a week, so that you can share that, show that you know what you're talking about, show that you're an expert, and you're serving people, right? You're giving them content, you're giving them advice, and then they look to you more often. And honestly, the more content that you start putting out, and the more, think about it as educating people, you're going to draw them in. And to me, I'm like, that's how you grew your business. You're educating so many people constantly, and they are drawn to you and they see you everywhere. And you're not afraid to be yourself. And that's how you're going to draw all those people in, you know, if you're going to be all markety, you know, through your sales funnel, so to speak. But yeah, and it doesn't even have to be hard, Scott. I've got one of my real estate clients, he will do a live video. And so this might help kind of get the wheels turning for people. So he'll do a live video. We use a tool, repurpose.io, that automates the process, and it pushes it automatically to YouTube. And so obviously, you know, he's getting YouTube subscribers and so forth. And my team will actually get snippets, little tidbits and quotes that he says in there, and then do social media posts, IG stories. We'll post that video on IGTV. So you can take that. He just does the one live video. He's done. We do the rest, and we can take little bits and then make tons of content and tips. And yeah, it's like, you don't have to go crazy. You just have to plan and schedule and be consistent. And there are ways and different strategies to leverage content even further and recycle it. So don't feel like you've got to reinvent the wheel like every day, because you totally don't.
Yeah, that's such a great counsel there, is sharing something once a week at least across your platforms, or taking something and cutting it up into little bits and pieces here, or, just getting the word out across different platforms. What do you see really kicking ass and taking names as far as marketing? Are you seeing video? Are you seeing blogs? Are you seeing podcast guesting? Are people starting a podcast? What are you really high on right now as a technique or a tool for people to market their real estate businesses?
Definitely guesting on podcast shows, especially now with COVID, and now everyone knows how to use Zoom. Just podcasting and being a guest expert. And there's a whole school and strategy behind being a guest. So you can't just willy-nilly hop on a podcast, right? So you do have to be intentional about it and be prepared. And then obviously being a host, whether it's you talking, whether you're co-hosting, whether you're interviewing, and just think about the connections that it makes, especially when you are interviewing, the relationships that it builds. And it's a way to reach more people exponentially in a really quick way. And when you're guesting, or even when you're hosting, I used to get this all the time, oh my God, you're everywhere. You've got your own show, you're podcasting, you're guesting on other people's shows. So they have that factor. And to me, I'm just it's no big deal. But that perception, right? You must be an expert. You're on podcasts. So you're building your authority, building relationships, and exponentially increasing your visibility like that. So those two things for sure.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan, because that's the way of not only bringing people on my show, but also guesting on other shows. And the way I look at it, it's always, if I'm guesting, I don't care if they're brand new or they've been around for a while, it's an audience that I'm reaching without having to leave my house. We're social distancing here. Well, if they've got 10 listeners an episode, hey, great, that's 10 more people today, or they got 1,000 over the next 6 months. Great, it's 1,000 people connect with them. We see it coming back exponentially in such greater things. People listening to the videos on YouTube, subscribing or opting in or following on our website, and just seeing people say, hey, I've binged or I've listened to. And that's the big thing too. I think people look at marketers like you and me and oh, they've got their stuff together, I can never beat them. And I'm look, we're not in competition for each other. You're in competition for yourself. I got 1,000 videos on YouTube because that's over a 10-year period.
Totally.
And you have to plant a little bit and it grows a little bit more and a little bit more. It's not done overnight. What's your thought and feedback that you'd like to give to those out there that kind of struggle with that paranoia and give up before they start taking action?
Yeah, that's a great point, Scott, because even I felt that way, and I think everyone feels that way. And it was funny. I was, years ago when I started video, and I was, again, scared out of my mind, and my first few videos sucked hard. But I remember seeing some videos from Marie Forleo, and she's the video queen, everything is perfection. But she showed a video from way back when, and she was in her kitchen with her laptop, and I think there might have even been Rugrats running around. And it's she started somewhere. Do you know what I mean? I can do that too. So it's, in content marketing and what's available and what the strategies are, it really can feel overwhelming. But if you go back to who your avatar is and where your natural strengths are, start with one thing. If you do a video every couple of days and then do some posts and stuff like that, that's doable for you, and you'll get used to it and you'll get better. And then once you kind of get your voice and your confidence, you're like, oh yeah, I could probably do a podcast now. And then you kind of move into that. So it's like, just tackle one thing, do it consistently, and then you can kind of branch out.
Yeah, knowing where your avatar is at is key. Knowing what their features are, where they're looking, where they're spending their time, and they're putting their eyeballs in your balls is definitely important. I had somebody ask me the other day, Scott, why are you not on TikTok? And I'm like, because my peeps aren't there. I'm not dance machining on TikTok every day.
Because I'm not an 11-year-old girl. Why?
I don't know. I don't think it's just 11-year-old girls. I've seen plenty of like 20, 30-year-old.
Oh, I know. Woo. Yep. I know. I remember one of my clients was like, we got to get on Snapchat. And I'm like, dude, your peeps don't even know what Snapchat are. Like, and we even you can even do this too, where you can actually survey your e-list and what have you, and find out, like, where are you hanging out? Like, are you on YouTube 50% of the time? Are you loving Twitter? And we did some research, and it came back and we're like, oh, like they were predominantly on YouTube. So we're like, heck, we're obviously going to invest more time and effort into videos than we would anything else, because it just makes sense.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point there of reaching out and asking, hey, where are you at? Just that simple question is a simple, hey, one question, where do you guys hang out at? Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, just asking. And a lot of times it doesn't take much to find out what's going on and surveying your audience. But the point is too, going back to, let's talk a little bit about how important email still is today. Video is great and social is great, but I think still email has its place as a marketing staple.
Oh, absolutely. And just kind of think of like social media, your videos, your podcasts, and your lead magnets and what have you. Like, they are your top of funnel, right? That you are attracting them and pulling them in. But you definitely want them on your e-list so that you can build a relationship and nurture. Are you going to build relationships and nurture in social as well as another layer? Yes, absolutely. But once you've got their attention, like I'm probably going to rhyme off some terms and people are going to be like, what? But you can DM me. So if you have a lead magnet, you want an engagement sequence to make sure that they absorb that piece of material. You want an indoctrination sequence so that they, these people don't even possibly know who you are. So you need to like inform them. You need to stay in touch. You need to serve them, give them more information. They want to lean on you as an expert so that when you do have an offer or do say, take this course, I've got this property, or have a consultation or a strategy call. And don't be afraid to have like a promo sequence that goes out periodically versus just one email here and there. You will get yeses. And here's another good tip. Don't be afraid to ask questions in an email. You can even just do like a short 2-sentence email. Hey man, what are you struggling with today? What's going on? Hit reply, let me know. And then you get a conversation going back and forth. You'd be surprised how many people hit reply and start answering. Then you get a conversation, and then you can hop on the phone. Like, that's awesome.
And that's what it's just building those conversations. And we live in a world today. The old way of doing business was going out there, meeting people one-on-one, one person at a time, one phone call at a time. That's not effective these days.
No.
If you use the tools correctly, you have that conversation, that one-way conversation out to the many, and those that you're going to be your hot clients, your hot investors, your hot leads will respond, and then that leads to those one-on-one conversations that now you know something a little bit better about that individual. You can see, and here's the biggest thing that people want.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I just say, don't give up after the first email. This is the thing that always frustrates me. 80% of sales are made after the 5th contact. I should have a tattoo on my ass because I say that all the time to people out there. You have to realize You send one email out, not a million people are going to respond to it and say, oh, yes, I want to sign up with you. I want to buy you. I want to connect with you. You got to build some rapport doing some stuff like that. Let's talk a little bit about that frustration, Lyndsay, that people just give up after the first time.
Totally. That's like even when people start podcasting, right? After 5 episodes, they're like, I don't have 1,000 downloads per episode. It's like, it doesn't happen overnight, and you have to be consistent to get that effect and to get the traction going, right? And it builds. It honestly builds. And like for me with the podcast, it took probably a year, and that's okay. But once things caught up, and then I started to be on more podcasts because I had a podcast, it just it stacks, right? It like layers on top of each other, and it creates more of an impact. Absolutely. With the emails, you can't expect to send an email out and expect 100% opens for starters. Right. You got to know those numbers. If you get, and now it's even harder, like 16% opens, 20%, that's like awesome. And then you've got, how many people are clicking on links and stuff like that. And there's things that you can do to optimize, but you have to think like it's going to take a while. And like and you think about yourself, right? I've been on some e-lists, like Amy Porterfield, for instance, whoever, for a long time. I don't unsubscribe. Every now and then I'm like, that piques my interest. I open it. I'm like, dang, she knows her stuff. She's got it going on. And then she'll have like a Facebook ad webinar, and I'll watch it and stuff like that. And I have bought, a couple of things along the way. But you just have to be consistent. And even if they're not opening it, just the fact that you're in their inbox and they see you on like 3 times a week or whatever, they're like, she's got it going on. You know what I mean? Like, she's successful. She's reaching out. She's got a launch. She's doing this. So it's all that perception and that building of the authority status.
Yeah, I love that. It's
marketing is hard work, Scott.
It is. It totally is hard work. But that's the thing. People don't like that 4-letter word, work, with us doing our Monday night webinars, Note Night in America that we branded, we're pretty consistent about it most of the time. We may not do it every Monday night, but we do it 3 to 4 times a month for the most part, maybe
that's
a week here
awesome.
and off. But I look back, I always track how many people opt into it. And I look at, okay, we're now up to 550 people have RSVP'd for that webinar just this year alone. Just this year, but it's consistently, okay, it's 5 new people a week, or it's 10 new people a week, or it's 2 new people a week. And it's growing. Now, showing up maybe 30, 40, 50%, because you're never going to have 100% attendees on a webinar. No. But that's that touching base with and having those conversations with that 20% or that 30 or 40 or the 60% that click on the link to watch the replay afterwards. You have to realize people just don't think about that long term. We're all such a very low patience society, instant gratification. I think social media has kind of done that, where we post a picture, quick, let's watch and see how many likes I get. What? I don't have 1,000 likes in my photo. What is wrong with people these days?
I know. And they get discouraged. So they're like, oh, it doesn't work. It's not bringing me an ROI. Someone that purchased something didn't say they came from Facebook. It's like, it's all those pieces working in conjunction together. You can't just like, oh, I did 2 sponsored ads and they didn't bring me hundreds of dollars, so I didn't get an ROI, so I'm never going to do it again. You can't have that mentality. And when you brought up webinars, I bring an interesting point. So I've had clients where they've done the webinar and they had a decent amount of registrants. The show up rate was meh, so they were really disappointed. No one booked a strategy call that night or the next morning. So we're like, hot damn, right? But we always do a 14-day drip afterwards. And we also share the replay to the people that didn't opt in initially. So again, that consistency and keeping moving forward. And then over those 14 days, boom, 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 sales. So that, you can't just do the webinar and then your work is over. There's still stuff to do to follow up. that is going to bring results.
I'll give you a great example. We did a webinar in November talking about how the market, what we saw taking place in 2020. Now, we didn't predict exactly this, but said, hey, there's a new ways of doing business. We offered up a training program, a special short-term training program. Well, we had like 6 people opt in there, which is, I was like, pretty okay. 6 people's okay. I would have liked to have 60, but 6, I'll start with 6, you know. And the market has changed since the point we got back when we went back and said, okay, we got to take this training down because it's not accurate where the market is at. But what's funny is in the last week, 2 weeks, I've had 5 people reach out from that video from back 6+ months ago. Hey, is this training available? And I'm like, no, we've incorporated something else for that. And I'm like, okay, great, I'll sign up for that. But that's the thing. It's planting a seed. You don't know who's searching for what on YouTube. You don't know who's doing what. And it's like planting a tomato plant. It's not going to have tomatoes in a week. It's going to take it 90 days, 120 days, sometimes for that to take root and the fruit to really show up, right?
Absolutely. And so much testing goes involved in marketing, right? With one of my clients having infusions off, doing webinars, having lead magnets and all that good stuff. After about 1.5 years, we really started to look into the data of like, okay, who went to this event and who joined the mastermind, what was all the data about all those people? And we went through and analyzed, and we realized that everyone that went to the event and then became a mastermind member, they all watched a webinar, at least 1 or 2, and they all had an opt-in. So we're like, that is the secret sauce. Bring them in on a lead magnet, show them a webinar, or vice versa, and then they become, a hot target, so to speak, and then reach out and make the offer. So it's seeing those data, but also knowing that it takes time to kind of tweak and test and figure those things out along the way. So yeah, if you don't get answers, when you first go at it, that's okay. It's still important down the road, and you will see its impact.
Yeah, that's the truth. I mean, whether it's a book you're giving away, a checklist, or a contract forms, or stuff like that. Lead magnets work in different different ways, and they change over time frame. Like, what's hot right now, I think for the most part, is checklists.
Yes,
people are tired of the ebook because they don't read the downloaded ebook for the most part. Okay, so that's fine. Or we'll send them a physical book, which it works really, really well too a lot of times. But that's the thing, is it doesn't have to be anything complicated. You got a 1-page checklist and it's actually valuable. Hey, that's a great lead magnet for a lot of people, right?
Yeah, or even a video on how you close a deal, like the 3 steps that you have to close a deal, or your 5 favorite sources to get notes, or and it can be like a 10-minute video with like a little PDF download or a checklist. Doesn't have to be like, oh my God, this big production.
And would you agree that people like mistakes versus successes? Yes. They like this.
Totally.
Let's talk about that, because so many people are so scared of sharing their mistakes.
No way. We all make mistakes, and we all, have our ups and downs in businesses. And I'll admit, like, I've done some Facebook ads and they bombed. I've done a lead magnet and I thought, oh, it was the bee's knees. And then like, no one liked it. And I'm like, alrighty then. But it's like, whatever. It's okay to admit that, because from your journey, you're going to learn, and people want to know that you're relatable, that it's okay. Like, because it's hard for people they even come to me and they're like, I have no clue who my avatar is. I don't know what lead magnet to create. I don't know what social to post. And it's hard to admit that you don't know something. And so if I admit it first, hey, when I started out, I knew nothing. Then they're like, okay, but now they know where I came from. They have the expertise. They understand me. They can help me. So you have to kind of think in those lines.
Yeah, we've all made mistakes. That's the reason we're good at what we do, because we've made more mistakes than those that have tried.
And we keep trudging.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Keep plowing forward one more time into the fray, young man.
Yes.
But I love it that you said something. You got to be consistent. You got to know where your avatar is at. You've got to share stuff. You've got to give it time for it to soak in. It's not going to be a one-trick pony. You can build it in time. And that's the thing I tell people all the time. Look, I don't care if you're in notes or wholesaling or fix and flipping or short-term rentals or commercial. Most of us are going to be in this for decades.
Oh, yeah. It's not going anywhere.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to start now, start putting those assets in place, start sharing there, because it'll help you build your portfolio up of marketing, of resources, of videos, of stuff over time. And people will appreciate that when they go back and binge watch from 6 years ago or 3 years ago or 6 months ago, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I find when I see people like fumble in a video and it's not like perfection behind them, I feel more comfortable. I am more apt to watch them. And like when I see some posts on Facebook and they're all like, they've been modeled and gorgeous and it's like a photo shoot and like, I'm super successful, look how gorgeous I am. I'm just kind of like, swipe. Like, I'm just not built that way. I'm just like, I want a normal person that is like modest, but successful. That's just me.
What are some of the big mistakes that you've seen people make in marketing? I mean, we've covered a few things, but what's anything that stands out to you that you're like, oh, that was just that was a bomb when somebody did that or didn't do that? What are some of the mistakes that stand out to you, Lyndsay?
I think one of the big mistakes, and that's easy to do when you start off, is not having like a brand, if you will. And I say that it's hard to write, like you could have a whole podcast on branding, but like if you have a certain look, feel on your website, like you do, right? You've got your green, it's a specific font, it's consistent, it's streamlined. And then when I go to your Facebook or another social media platform, it matches, it's the same. So I know I'm in the right place. Making sure that your profile, your about, your services is geared towards the person that you're attracting. And same with like your posts, if they're like all over the place and they're not partially branded, like the same messaging, the same colors, the same fonts, there's going to be a disconnect. And if people are confused, they're going to go elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. What do you have to say to people out there that are trying to do multiple things? And by multiple things, I'm talking about the person, and we all see them, and there's nothing against the hustle. But when somebody hands you a business card and it's got like 6 different things on the back that they do, and you're like, what do you really do? What are you really focused on? It's kind of watered down across the board. Like, oh, I do a cleaning company. I'm also a real estate investor. I also have an insurance company. Those kind of things kind of just drive you bonkers a little bit because there's not real, like you said, consistency to the brand, right?
Yeah, that is so true. And I think that's like understanding your avatar too. It weaves in, right? If you are like a cleaning service, a painter, like how are you going to attract 50 people in your messaging? Everyone that goes there is just going to be like, who are you and what are you doing? And like, they'll just be confused. And I went through that same journey when I was a virtual assistant firm. I felt like I couldn't turn any prospect down. I didn't want to turn work away. It freaked me out, right? So I accepted everything. Well, that made me scattered. My team was scattered. I didn't have proper processes, and I ended up doing work that I actually didn't even like. So I was kind of on the miserable side. And then when I niched down to just content marketing, and then I grew like crazy, so had to build processes. But oh man, it was so much easier to market my business. And people are like, okay, I know what you do. And the flood of leads that just came in from doing that alone was huge. So I'm glad you brought that up because that is a huge lesson. So a lot of people are scared to niche down. They feel like they're going to turn work away or they're losing money, but that is so not the case. When you niche down, you become an expert in that thing. So you are the go-to person. And it is so much easier to scale your business when you're niched. And it's easier to train people if you have a team. It's easier to market your business and it's easier to attract them. And if you're doing Facebook ads, it's way easier to target them as well. So, and you will find that when you're closing all those other ones that probably caused you stress anyways, when you niche down like that, all of a sudden you will get a flood of leads and flood of new people. It shocked me. It was a really good lesson.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to something you said there, but I see that happening in real estate because so many real estate investors are going out to a different expo or conference, or they're going to their local meetup and learning a new tool in the tool belt. And I think that works against people being successful because I think especially each type of deal that we do has a different way to market, a different way to find those types of deals. you're not going to find an apartment complex sending out a yellow letter or door knocking a lot of times. You've got to figure out what so identifying a niche that is working in today's market, works with what you're doing and falls in line with what you want to do. You'll be a lot more successful being niche down. But you said something, I want to come back to it. What's the things that you hated doing? I want to pick your brain on Lyndsay. What does Lyndsay hate doing? When you talked about you were doing stuff, I think we all fall in that. Hey, I want to try to bring clients on, so I got to make a buck. And how do we end up selling our soul a little bit, trying to make a quick buck, and realize probably should have done that at the beginning. But what are some of the things that you hate doing in marketing?
In marketing, well, back then it was doing some of the sales, like outreach, quotes, managing people's emails, managing their calendars. It was more like admin stuff. And yeah, it just caused me so much stress, and I hated it. Just hated it. Now, what do I hate doing now? I love creating graphics in Canva. It's so much fun.
That's my Arctic nature. Stephanie loves to go painting. She's like, hey, would you come painting with me? I'm like, okay, I'll go once, but it's like watching paint dry to me. I'm like, this is not creative to me, but Canva is my creative outlet.
Yeah, it's fun. And creating social posts. And I like to write as well. So sometimes I don't tell anyone, but sometimes I write promo emails for my clients on the fly. But what do I hate to do? I really don't like Google Analytics and dealing with the stats. I enjoy getting the stats and reviewing them, but my team goes in and gets the nitty gritty. I'm just like, oh, I don't want to know.
Give me the high point. It's all I need to know, so I can make it. Yeah, but that's, there's so many tools out there in this day and age, that's so easy to work with. I mean, they're easier to work, or to hire a team like your team to help them out with it. Let's dive a little bit into talking about your smooth sailing and how you're helping and really taking your clients to a whole different level by helping them outsource the duties that maybe they're not so good at, and that you and your team take advantage of and run with for them.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite, honestly, is podcasting, because we have such a process that's dialed in. And then our clients, all they do is book a podcast, record it, and then they're done. So they get to do the fun part. And then we, of course, publish it, produce it, put it on the website, social media, emails, LinkedIn posts, the little wave files and what have you. So that is going crazy right now. I can't keep up, but it's all good. And we do like I have some VIP clients where we do the full spectrum in regards to sales funnels, lead magnets, webinars, nurture emails and campaigns and launches and stuff like that. Not taking VIP clients on anymore, but with the real estate investors, I find they're stuck with content, like not knowing what to put out and not having the time or the wherewithal to do it. So thankfully we do have a done for you service where it's the blogs, the content, the video script, the email, it's all done. Just take it and go with it. And then obviously the podcasting. So I would say they're the two kind of main ones that I'm going with, but I love doing strategy sessions to help create a marketing plan and understand your priority, because there are a lot of options, what's going to work well for you and your business and your time and your budget, and mapping that out to build their authority.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Now, let's talk about it. What kind of clients are you looking for? You're working with? Obviously, real estate investors are right things, and those that have a podcast is helpful. But what's your avatar for your ideal client, Lyndsay?
My avatar is real estate is a little bit different because I have the done for you services and the podcasting. So it's it can be anyone or anything. In regards to VIP or more high level marketing, definitely someone that is already starting to have a team, right? They might have a Facebook ad expert, they'll have a VA, they'll have a project manager. They've got, they're getting traction already on their social media platforms, and they just don't necessarily have the time. They want to focus on revenue. They don't have time to put out the podcast or do a, like putting out launches for audits or books or a new webinar. They just want to put on the webinar and not do the rest of it. more like that. And I really love to partner. So if someone has a Facebook ad expert, an SEO expert, a copywriter, I mean, I do have copywriters on my team, but it's really fun to collaborate with different members of the team, because you want to make sure that when you are at that high level and you're working with a video expert or an SEO expert, you want to make sure that all your campaigns and your branding and your goals are all moving in the right direction, and we're all working together in sync versus separate pods. You know what I mean? So yeah, does that answer the question?
Totally answers the question, because it's always nice to put experts in a room and you learn so much from each other, and connecting together and being able to sign it. Hey, you're the expert at this, do what you're good at.
Yeah.
You know, you're the expert that's doing good. And I think real estate investors have a hard time doing that, because we're such control freaks out there, especially we come from the real estate side. Think, oh, I'm gonna check values. Oh, I'm gonna go do the drive-by. Oh, I can do the rehab.
Totally. I'm a control freak too, and I'm a type A. So, and that's why I like, my brain is like project management, and I like harp on people. What happened to this? You said you were going to return this to me, and this podcast is supposed to release next week. So where's that episode? So I tend to crack the whip on some of my clients. I'm like, where's my stuff?
Well, but that's necessary. I think we all need accountability partners to get some stuff done. I mean, we've all drift. We get sidetracked with things.
Oh, yes, we do.
Especially with this going on, with everything being stuck in a house, there are ups and downs. Everybody's having good days and bad days to get stuff done. There's days you're like, it's just another day. It's Groundhog Day all over again.
Yes.
You know, I've struggled with that. Like, I have good days. I'm like, I'm not doing anything today. I just don't have the motivation.
You don't have your mojo.
Exactly. Didn't have a cup of coffee when I woke up in the morning, so I'm kind of drugging it in mud there. But that's a normal thing. I think a lot of people, we have to realize, don't get down on yourself. Every day's a new start. You can always start today. Pick, if you've got to stop for a reason or something like that, okay, but don't give up on your dreams of what you want to accomplish.
And you got to think about your mental health too, right? Like I did the same on Monday. Like I just was not in a state of mind. And I took the afternoon off. I'm like, I just can't even. And I just took the time. And then the next day I was like, bing, bing, bing. And I just like banged things out. I was so productive. It's okay. Yeah. You got to give yourself a break.
You got to give yourself a break. Exactly. To kind of just rewind, refresh the brain cells and go from there. And, one of the tools that I like, and I'm sure you probably agree with this, is putting together a calendar a little bit of what you want to accomplish.
Yes.
And we both love Canva. I'm a big fan of going in and saying, okay, what's the calendar? What weird day of the year is it today, as a way to help kind of prime the pump for, is National Margarita Day, or is it National exactly Memorial Day, or we've got Father's Day or whatever coming up, but using some of those things to kind of prime the pump. But I know you lit up talking about marketing calendar there just a second ago as well too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it just, you got to get the juices flowing too in regards to what kind of content that you want to share. And don't feel that you have to share your own stuff all the time. It's like, I'll find a great article from you or Sharon Bornholt, and I'm like, oh, that's really good. Share that. And I use like HubSpot and Social Media Examiner for like resort, like I read their stuff. And if it's valuable to me, it's going to be valuable to my avatar, right? So it's okay to share it. And honestly, the easiest thing to do is, like you said, like find those fun holidays, like National Hamburger Today, and ask people what they like on their hamburger. It's not businessy, but it's fun. And same with like what's going on in your day, and a lesson that you learned, and something that your client told you. Or like today, obviously, I'm going to talk about the podcast and how awesome it was. And you can even share, a testimonial, a quote that you love. What are some other ideas? I have a lot. Ask questions. Ask questions.
Yeah.
Just like ask people questions. What are they doing? Or if I was talking about, one sheets and stuff like that, I'm like, hey, who out there has got their one sheet done? Share it. People want to share their stuff. So if you ask them to share it, they will share. Or if you ask for an opinion and do a poll, they will give you their opinion. When in doubt.
Ask out loud.
Yeah. Or there's always dancing cats. I mean, come on. When in doubt, Minions. I love the Minions.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to give you some props. because we celebrated our 600th episode last week recording, and we probably have had 150 guests plus on the show.
Wow.
You are the first guest who posted something beforehand that they were excited to come on Twitter.
Really?
Yes, I was like, Lyndsay, yes, love it. We've posted like, hey, we're having such and such on the show, stuff like that. But you're the first guest to post something beforehand that you're coming on the show.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
No, that's a good thing to do.
It is a great thing to do. Totally a great thing to do. A lot of times, I think a lot of us get so caught up on, what's next on my calendar? But that's where having a team that it can look at what you've got going on and can share that out there, can outsource it as well for you to get the word out on what you're doing.
Absolutely. And I have some clients where they're going to be on a talk, or I find out about it like the day before. I'm like, what do you mean you're speaking this weekend? Like, why didn't you tell me? You got to milk that baby. Let people know, woohoo, I'm speaking at this and blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, oh, look at her. You know what I mean? It's like, and same with being on a podcast. She's being interviewed again. Nice. So it's like, you may take it for granted, but it builds authority.
It does.
And it's nice to give a shout out to other people, and people like that.
Exactly. Well, we're excited. The video will be out here in the next couple of days of this interview, but the audio will be out in the middle of June here after we have you on Note Camp this weekend.
Woohoo!
And I'm excited. Yeah, excited to have you on Note Camp 2020, sharing some expertise. Do you want to give a little bit of a sneak peek for those? Because when this comes out, the podcast episode will be out for Note Camp with Lyndsay. So go over and listen to that. But you want to give a little teaser what you'll be talking about next week?
You bet. I was working on my presentation this morning, as a matter of fact.
Very nice.
Playing with PowerPoint. Absolutely. Obviously I will be touching on avatar because it's such an important part, but also about how to recycle, reuse, and leverage content to make your life easier, and how to create a schedule, and how to take it to the next level with a few extra little fun things.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So looking forward to it.
And some tools. I share my tools because tools are important.
Tools are important. So many tools. And you mentioned a couple: Canva, repurpose.io. Honey does such a great job with that over there. We've had him on a couple times, and always adding new tools and new connections for his software to make it so easier. What is the best way for those that are listening? Because we get so many real estate investors, not only listening to the podcast, but listening on our Note Nation radio network across the country. You work with people all across the United States and Canada, because Canada's home for you, right?
You betcha, baby.
What's the best way for them to reach out to you to schedule an appointment or talk with you, see if they might be a fit, or you guys might be a fit to help them take their content marketing to a different level?
You betcha. So I definitely recommend joining the Real Estate Investors Marketing Group on Facebook. So they can go to reimarketinggroup.com and join. Of course, I do live Facebooks and trainings and tips and all that good stuff, and you can connect with me there. They can go to REI Marketing Experts. I have so many URLs, I can't keep track. My brain with this heat. reimarketingexperts.com/services. So you can check out our Done For You services. But if you go to reimarketingexperts.com/swipe, I will give you 2 weeks worth of Done For You content to help you get noticed.
Wow.
And I even share 30 days of social media post ideas. I know.
You are like, boom, bringing out the big guns there for people out there. Wow. We'll have those links.
Who doesn't want free content?
Right. But that's freaking phenomenal, Lyndsay. Man, 30 days of content, 2 weeks to help people get started. Wow. Wowzer. Now there's no excuse for them not to go do that for any type of thing.
Exactly.
Wow. That's awesome. So once again, what's the real estate marketing Facebook group you're saying?
Yep, reimarketinggroup.com for the Facebook group, and reimarketingexperts.com/swipe for the free content.
Cool. I love it. Lyndsay, thank you so much for being
Thank you.
We got to have you back on here again.
Awesome. Anytime.
Definitely. It's been awesome. Way too long. I know you and I have been like back and forth for 6 or
I know.
Like, oh yeah, let's have you on. Oh, I forgot to send the link, or hey, I forgot to answer an email.
It's all good.
all good. We're not busy at all, marketing our own stuff.
No.
That's good stuff.
And of course, I'll see you next week.
Yes. We're excited to have you. I think you're speaking, Friday afternoon or
Correct.
Saturday?
Yep.
Friday afternoon. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's one of the highlights. The schedule at notecamp2020.com is just about done. I got to fill up 2 more spots there. I got to update that this morning, but so looking forward to having you. We're going to have a great time, and looking forward to it. So once again, guys and gals, go out there, take some action. Lyndsay dropped some freaking bombs on some content this morning, and her 2 giveaways, the group and the calendar and stuff like that. Man, most of you are sitting out there like, what the heck do I do? Well, there you go. If you really want to take your business to the next level, and I don't care what level you're at. If you're a flat line with no heartbeat, we can resuscitate that, get a heartbeat going. Or if you're at a level and wanting to move up a little bit, maybe you're finding yourself that you can't do it all yourself. Hey, take advantage of those tools as a way to exponentially grow your marketing and get the word out what you're doing. Because I think, let's face it, everybody, people need to hear from you. People need to hear and see others that are actually doing something. And that's where I think, that's what separates the 5%ers. Those are the people that show up on a consistent basis doing and get rock and roll. That's what makes Lyndsay successful and continues to help her make her clients successful as well, as showing up on a consistent basis and really delivering above and beyond and not being afraid to ask questions and communicate. So guys and gals, go take advantage of this tool, 2 different tools. Join us at Note Camp 2020, whether it's live or you're catching the replays. And we look forward to seeing you all at the top, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Lyndsay. And